Jezio is the Valley's king of the track. We're gonna triple up a few things north of the border. We catch up with a veteran whose focus is back on only racing for 2016. Whoa, baby! Well, I know one thing. Rodney's probably not wearing white pants to the races anymore. Race Pro Weekly, it's on. Hello and welcome to Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Each season, Lebanon Valley holds their $5,000 to win King of the Track event. Let's head to the High Banks for our opening highlight brought to you by Landho Maintenance. We'll start you off with Pro Stock feature action. Paul Rochelle going around. Tom O'Connor nowhere to go. Gets into the back bumper of the 78 machine. Victor Hopkins and Joe LaFlamme involved. Final lap now is Ricky Duzlak powering underneath. The 8 of Jay Corbin looking for the race lead down the back straightaway. They bring it off at turn number 3 and 4, and it would be Duzlak picking up the win as he drag races Rob Yetman there for his second win of 2016. $5,000 on the line for the modifieds as it would be Chad Jezio bringing the field to the green. In the Snap-on Tools number 25 machine, Mike King getting out into the number 2 spot early. Here's Kenny Tremont working his way on the inside of John Rochelle for position as he looked to work his way up to try to get into the top 5, but the car on the move in this one was the 34 of Andy Bacchetti, already working his way up as a little bit of dicey moves towards the back of the field as well. Meanwhile, the 42 of Sheldon gets caught up on the outside. His car shuffle coming down the front straightaway a little bit as Berger was involved as well as they continue to push their way up through the field. Meanwhile, the 42 of Matt Papello going to work on the 88 junior of Olden Dwyer for the number 3 spot, bringing it up at turn number 4. Here's Brett Hearn up in turn number 2. He'll slip underneath the 74 of J.R. Hefner for position, but the car on the move, as I mentioned before, the wild child, Andy Bacchetti, looking to go back-to-back as he was sliding underneath the 98 of Eddie Marshall for position, then get by the 11A of Kyle Armstrong for the spot, no problem. Tremont looking to follow behind him, but the story in this one was the driver, the Garrity Asphalt reclaiming car number 34 machine, as he would duck underneath the 88 junior of Olden Dwyer for third. Now go to work on Mike King for the number 2 spot as they race their way up into the east end of the speedway. King would hold them off for a second, but Bacchetti would make the blast pass in turn number 3 and set his sights on race leader Chad Jezio, and that deficit was starting to go away as the 88 junior and the 42 continue their battle behind them down the backstretch. Papello would get by Dwyer. Meanwhile, as you see, Chad Jezio up at the front with 8 laps remaining, but here comes Andy Bacchetti cutting it down to about 10 car lengths. He take a look underneath them going through turn number 3 and 4, but Jezio working it strong off at turn number 4, and he would be $5,000 richer as he picks up the win. Andy Bacchetti would finish in second. Mike King would hold on for third. Matt Papello would finish in spot number 4, and rounding out your top 5 would be Kyle Armstrong. Other winners on the night, Alan Hotailing breaks Kenny Tremont's streak in the 358 Modifieds. Jeff Watson going to grab the win in the Sportsman. Ricky Duzlak, as you saw, grabbing the win in the Pro Stocks. Pure Stock number 1 will go to Bill Deek Jr., Pure Stock 2 to Jay Casey, and Pure Stock 3 will go to Ray Hall Sr. Brewerton Speedway has seen plenty of winners at the D-Shaped Dirt Demon this season. Would it be time for another first-timer? We'll show you some sportsman action first from the Brewerton Speedway as Glenn Forward working on the outside of Kyle Fink for the race lead. Fink goes all the way into the infield, slides up in front, misses Forward, but Forward would be gone in this one as he picks up the win in the sportsman feature event. Ryan Bartlett would grab the early lead in the modified feature event as cars would work their way up through turn number 1 and 2. Mike Bowman fighting with Matt Holsizer for position. Jeff Blackburn in there as well, along with Rich Scalata as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2. Scalata working the inside lane. Tim Kerr on his way up on the outside. Now what a battle between the Phelpses as Blackburn goes around. Jimmy Phelps nowhere to go, gets into him. Pat Ward especially nowhere to go as he would get caught up in it. Battle for the number 2 spot now. Rich Scalata working to the inside of the Holsizer for that number 2 spot. But Holsizer continuing to work it out strong on the outside lane, holding on to that position. Larry White and Chad Phelps will duking it out with Mike Bowman now into turn number 3 and 4 for position. Larry White would move up into spot number 3, working it to the inside of the 55 machine, trying to take spot number 2 away. He'd get the opening he needed and grab the runner-up position, but he wasn't catching Ryan Bartlett, who wins his first career race at the D-shaped Dirt Demon. Larry White would finish in second. Tom Seegers Jr. would be third. Jimmy Phelps fourth, and Chad Phelps would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night: Glenn Forward would grab the win in the Sportsman, Doug Williams in the Mod Lights, and Ray Beckler grabbing the win in the 4 cylinders. The Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints made their only appearance in Eastern New York for 2016 at Albany-Saratoga last Friday. Let's head to the Speedway to see which winged warrior would take home the prize. A 4-wide salute to the fans for the Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints only trip to Albany-Saratoga in 2016, and it would be Paul Kinney and Jeff Cook leading the field of the green in the 25-lap A main as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2 for the early going. Jessica Zemkin working on the outside of racing Jason Barney for position, but Barney going to hold on to that spot, as well as Paulie Giovanni going to work his way around on the outside. He'd get by Jeff Cook for position, with Chuck Ebing starting to make his way up through the field on the outside. Coley Giovanni would go around, though, and tag the outside wall, which would bring the first caution out of the feature. Off the restart, Paul Kinney was going to have his hands full as racing Jason Barney would be on the move along with Steve Poirier and Chuck Ebing. But back to the front of this one, here comes the 87 on the outside lane. He would be your new race leader up into turn number 2. Steve Poirier working his way up through the field. He would get by Dan Duville for position. Now go to work on Jeff Cook as Jessica Zemkin and Chuck Ebing go side-by-side for position as they drag race down into turn number 3 and 4. Meanwhile, Poirier continuing to work his way up. He'd go around Zemkin for position as the caution will come out for the 2 of Dave Axton in turn number 1. Off of that restart, here comes Poirier to the outside. 3 wide between Poirier, Kinney, and Hebing. Is Hebing going to try to throw the slider back at him? Off at turn number 4, he would get the number 2 spot for the time being, but Steve Poirier looking to battle back. Varon working his way up on the outside, Danny Varon that is, as he gets by Jessica Zemkin for position. Meanwhile, Chuck Ebing still holding on to that number 2 spot, but the yellow will come out for Jeff Cook in turn number 4. Off the restart, Poirier going to have the advantage, taking the number 2 spot away as Chad Miller has trouble going down the backstretch. Meanwhile, as they continue to race for this one, Paul Kinney still trying to work his way back into the number 4 spot and get back by Danny Varon for position, but now to the battle up front as Steve Poirier going to slide his way up into the inside lane, trying to get him. Now we head into turn number 3 and 4 again, and it's not electric, it's Fireball. Slide job off by turn number 4, and Steve Poirier would be your new race leader as Barney would try to nose back out ahead, but Steve Poirier would be too strong as Fireball goes to victory lane at Albany-Saratoga. Jason Barney would finish in second, Chuck Ebing would finish in third, fourth would be Danny Varon, and Paul Kinney would round out the top 5. It's now time for this week's Kaiser Aluminum Wheels fan poll question of the week, which is, what are your thoughts on Super Dirt Week being at the Oswego Speedway? Head to www.facebook.com/RaceProWeekly and cast your answer on what you think about the biggest week of modified racing heading to the Steel Palace. When we come back on Race Pro Weekly, boy, do we got a show for you down at the Ulster County Bull Ring. And we'll go triple style out at Merrittville, all coming up. Reputable, reliable, results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we head to the Accord Speedway. Some rookie sportsman action as Ty Sherlock going to bring him off at turn number 3 and 4. He would be your feature event winner in the rookie sportsman event. We head to the modifieds now as Chad Lodi is going to lead the field to the green in what was a wild one down on the Ulster County Bull Ring as cars working their way up through turn number 3 and 4 for the first time as Scott Ferrier working underneath. He get by Mark Pullen for position. Kenny Ferrier now working with Danny Creedon down the back stretch as Anthony Perego works to the inside of Mark Pullen for position. As cars get together, that's going to send Ken Ferrier into the infield as that would bring yellow out on the speedway. Off the restart, Lodice will continue to lead this one as Joe Judge working his way up through the field trying to get by Scott Ferrier for position. As now Danny Creedon going to slide in front of Anthony Perego for the spot, but the 55 going to work back to the inside lane. Before that can happen, though, Jeff Hetzler going to slam his way in as he go to the inside lane. He get by Joe Judge as Judge would start to fade a little bit as Hetzler and Perego go side by side, and Mike Rickey tags the back of Hetzler's machine. He goes around and things get a little discombobulated up in turn number 2. Off the restart, Scott Ferrier would have the advantage in this one as he would work his way up through turn number 3 and 4. Here's Danny Creedon fighting to the inside, looking for the race lead as the 20 machine would hold on to this one, but here comes Anthony Perego working his way to the inside of Danny Creedon for the spot. But Creedon right there as they work through lap traffic and tries to split through the middle. Excuse me, sir, but I don't think he has any Grey Poupon as he works his way up into turn number 3 and 4 this time. Creedon going to try the slider once again, but Ferrier just too strong on the top side here in this one to let him go by. That time, Perego gets into the back bumper and now will slip to the high side. As now off of turn number 2, here comes Perego to the outside lane. He take the race lead away down the back straightaway as Danny Creedon sat there for second. Creedon trying to battle back to get by Perego, but now Ferrier and Creedon going at it for second as Creedon slows just a bit. Number of cars get together. That sends Joe Judge around in turn number 4 as that brings out the caution once again. Iron Mike Rickey right on the back bumper. The 5 Chad Lodice up into turn number 1 and 2, but you're not catching Anthony Perego as he grabs the win at Accord. Scott Ferrier would finish in second. Chad Lodice would finish in third. Mike Rickey fourth, and Showtime Danny Tyler would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Jimmy Wells would grab the win in the Sportsman. Rookie Sportsman would go to Ty Sherlock. Wingless Sprints would go to Eric Jennings. Pure Stocks to Kevin Skelly. And John Kendall would grab the win in the Slingshots. The Maryville Speedway was back in action with the Jerry Winger Memorial, where one driver would have to get it done throughout 65 laps and 3 separate segments. 3 segments for the modifieds. The first 2 would be 20 laps the distance, the final one being 25. As they would duke it out for the Jerry Winger Memorial as Tyler McPherson and Ryan Susi would lead the field to the green in the first 20-lap feature event. Gary Lindbergh working down with the 42 of Pete Bicknell up off of turn number 4, trying to fight for position as McPherson working the outside lane. He tried to push past him up into turn number 3 and 4 this time, but Lindbergh very strong on the inside as they tried to run down Mr. Small Block right in front of him. Meanwhile, Todd Gordon, Chris Steele, and the 96 of Fast Freddie Carlton would fight for position, and Tommy Flanagan going to get in there as well as he rim rides up on the outside lane, trying to take a couple positions away down the back straightaway. Lindbergh going to try up on the top side now to get by the 42 of Bicknell coming down the front stretch, but Bicknell going to impede his progress. Now, Lindbergh going to try the inside lane up off of turn number 2. He'll get right by Mr. Small Block and fight for that spot once again as Carlton and McPherson continue to go at it side by side up off of turn number 2 as that 777 trying to stay up top. Meanwhile, though, out in front, Ryan Susi would pick up the win in segment number 1. They would invert 10 cars for the start of segment number 2 in this event, which would see us go to darkness this time, as Chad Brockman would lead the field to the green in that number 3 car. Mark Delario working on the inside lane as Brockman getting a little bit of pressure for the time being. Now is Bicknell and Carlton starting to make their way up through the field, along with Susi on the outside lane, looking to go back-to-back. Susi way up on the top side, almost 4 wide that time up off by turn number 3 and 4, but Carlton going to get the advantage on the inside as Mark Delario fighting for the spot as well. The 08 machine would get into the back bumper of the 96 down the back straightaway as Delario would get pushed off of the racetrack shortly after that timing. And then meanwhile, off of the restart, Brockman would take control again. Here's Ryan Susi looking for the number 3 spot as Tyler McPherson gets in a little bit of trouble. Severe left front damage on that 777 machine, as now Susi going to break away and get to the number 3 spot with Pete Bicknell right behind him, with Chad Brockman still trying to put home this second segment. Meanwhile, the 42 of Bicknell going to slide up in front of Susi as Brockman still way out in front of this one by a couple of car lengths, as now Susi gets hung up with the 96 of Freddie Carlton up off of turn number 4, and that sends cars scattering down the front stretch with Mike Bowman almost getting into trouble. Meanwhile, up at the front, Bicknell would get into the number 2 spot down the backstretch, but it wouldn't be enough as Chet Brockman would pick up the win in segment number 2. Moving on to segment number 3, they started this one heads up with the 2 winners on the front row, and Ryan Susie going to waste no time to power out to the front of this one as Pete Bicknell and Gary Lindberg go back to their battle from earlier in the first segment, with Lindberg working it up on the outside in that number 28 machine. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead would see Chet Brockman push to the inside of Susie for position up off of turn number 2. He'd get away by a couple of car lengths as Mike Bowman now working his way up on the inside lane as well, as Phil Vigneri continuing to work his way up through the field as well. Now Gary Lindberg going to go to work with Tommy Flanagan again, into turn number 3 and 4 as Flanagan sporting a different car here later in the night. Brockman fighting through lap traffic as Wayne Kahn and Phil Vigneri right in front of him, but he'd get by them no problem and hold on to take home the Jerry Winger Memorial at the Merrittville Speedway. Ryan Susie would finish in second, Gary Lindberg with a strong third-place run. Freddie Carlton would finish in fourth, and Pete Bicknell would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Brad Rouse in the Sportsman, Mod Lights to Josh Slider, and Tyler LaFantazzi in the 4 cylinders. After a couple weeks off, the racing at Orange County Fair Speedway was starting to heat up. It's time to find out who would take control down on the hard clay. Oh, baby, it's time to go to Middletown. The Orange County Fair Speedway as Chris Schultz and Hollywood Craig Mitchell would lead the field to the green. In the modified feature event up there, as Chris Schultz would look to take the early lead, but it would be Mitchell as cars scatter down the back straightaway as Jerry Higbee leads the pack of cars through turn number 4. Bringing it down the front straightaway once again, you see a couple drivers switch lanes, including Richie Urich, as they push their way up through turn number 1 and 2. Cars looking to be on the move. Mike Ruggiero in the number 4 machine, just bringing it off at turn number 4 with Jeremy Markle in the OB's car right behind him. But Craig Mitchell way out in front of this one in the early going in this feature event in the 93 machine, trying to make things a little Hollywood out at the hard clay, as Tommy Meyer and the 3 of LJ Lombardo fighting for position up through the field as they would work together, as well as the 21 of Gary Edwards Jr. is trying to stay ahead of Meyer, as Meyer was on his way up through the field in the early going, but just couldn't make it stick too far as he would finish outside the top 5. Before this one's all said and done, though, Chris Schultz going to make this one interesting as he would pull a few car lengths behind the 93 of Craig Mitchell as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2. Schultz getting a little bit quicker, as Tim Pitt says, as they make their way down the back straightaway. Schultz right on the back bumper, a couple car lengths away from him, but as they bring him off by turn number 3 and 4, Mitchell still out in front. Another shot this time for the 24 of Schultz as he pushes up to the inside lane, trying to get by him off at turn number 2. Couldn't do it that time. Final time off the corner. Hollywood Craig Mitchell going to grab the win down at Orange County. Second would be Chris Schultz. Johnny Lito would finish in third. Mike Ruggiero fourth, and Jeremy Markle would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Tommy Meyer would grab the win in the small blocks. Sportsman would go to Tyler Boniface, and Jim Mayer would pick up the win in the street stocks. When we return on Race Pro Weekly, we head to the Track of Champions to see what goes on along the Mohawk River, and we'll head to Albany, Saratoga to see if Mark Johnson could increase his point lead once again.
If you're like me, your to-do list never ends. But with just one phone call, I protect my home, family, pets, and yard all year round. With Northeast Pest Control's Premier Home Protection Program, I don't have to worry about bugs and pests, and I don't have to worry about harsh chemicals either. Now how about that want to-do list? Thanks, Northeast Pest Control.
Ants, termites, mice, or bees, call today for your free estimate.
With Northeast Pest Control, we guarantee you'll live pest-free.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For a championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Melonville.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. We'll kick you off with the Bill Ag Memorial Elimination Races. The final here between Ronnie Johnson and Bobby Varon, and Varon had nothing for the 1RJ as Ronnie would pick up the win in the Bill Ag Memorial race. To the modified feature event now, Pep Karate would lead the field to the green in the 21P as he bring him up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. Jeff Rockefeller looking for the number 2 spot with Darwin Green on the outside, trying to take the number 1 spot away from the 21P Machina Karate, and he would do that as Darwin Green out in the front of this one early. The Apollo Rocket in the 6H working it up on the outside as he tries to work past the 3 of Mark Keselowski for position. Hohen Force giving it another shot on the outside lane, but the yellow will come out for the 21P of Pep Karate in turn number 3 and 4. A tough break for him. Off of the restart, Ronnie Johnson looking to dig low on the 3 of Keselowski down the back straightaway, but he would hold on to that position for the time being. And now the 1RJ going to the inside as Ronnie Johnson would power past the 6H, nose out ahead. But another car on the move, the Dover Brake, car number 00 on Bobby Varon, as he's caught the back bumper of the 18B of Bodie Bellinger and working his way up through the field. But the Jake Spriggers used cars, car number 1RJ of Ronnie Johnson already working his way up past Jeff Rockefeller, and will squeak by the 3 of Mark Keselowski on the outside lane, making it stick as Jeremy Wilder going to get involved in the top 5 battle now as he goes underneath the 6H of Hohen Force for position and sets his sights on Jeff Rockefeller as well. To the front of the field we go now as Ronnie Johnson has ran down race leader Darwin Green off at turn number 4. DRG looking to keep control of this one at the front, but the 1RJ still stalking him as he worked their way down the backstretch and into turn number 3 and 4. They come down by the Cow Palace with Ronnie Johnson working it on the inside, and at the line it would be RJ with the race lead. Ronnie Johnson going to the front of this one. Darwin Green still trying to battle back as they come through the short chute this time. We'll see if Johnson will pull up in front of him. No, he's going to leave the door open. Darwin trying to keep control off at turn number 4, runs out of room and just touches the outside wall as Hohen Force and Jesse Mueller now go at it down the back straightaway. To the front we go one more time, though. Ronnie Johnson picking up another big win at the Fonda Speedway. Darwin Green would have to set up for second. Jeremy Wilder would finish in third. Fourth, Mark Keselowski, and rounding out the top 5, the Apollo Rocket of Josh Hohenforst. Last week at Fulton, lightning struck on the high banks. Would Larry White be able to put it back to victory lane once again? To Oswego County we go. We'll show you some 4-cylinder action first as Chuck Kowalczyk looking to get by Ray Beckler. Well, I'd say he drives into him a little bit, and Tim Dunn going to come around the corner and say, "Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to take home the victory," as Dunn picks up the win in the very exciting 4-cylinder feature event. On to the modifieds now. Caitlin Heil and Willie Decker would lead the field of the green as Decker working it up on the top side on the outside. Caitlin Heil going to take the early advantage on the inside, but Decker going to look to find the spot on the outside lane in that 57 car as he would go to the top and take the lead away here on lap number 3. Fast forward towards the end of the race now as Tim Sears Jr. all over the back bumper of the 57 machine as they work it off at turn number 2. Final time off the corner. Here's Sears with his final shot, gets into the back bumper, but Decker holds on for his second win of 2016. Tim Sears Jr. would finish in second. Tim Kerr would be third. Pat Ward fourth, and Caitlin Heil would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Mike Button would grab the win in the Sportsman. Late model will go to Chris Fleming. Trevor Wright in the Novice Sportsman feature number 1. Willie Decker Jr. Hey, in Novice Sportsman number 2. And Tim Dunn picking up the win in the 4 cylinders. Going into last Friday night at Albany, Saratoga, 5 drivers were separated by 51 points in the standings. Would there be another shakeup after this one was all said and done? Taking off some pro stock action first as Dean Charbonneau goes around, gets into Kenny Martin, Gus Hallner nowhere to go, and a couple other cars involved as well. Dave DiPaolo would get by Fast Eddie Thompson for the race lead. Robbie Speed looking to follow here on the last couple laps. Crossover move by Speed to try to get him, but no sir. Dave DiPaolo picks up the win in the pro stocks. 35-lap modified feature event would see the 14 of C.G. Maury going to lead the field to the green. Up in turn number 1 and 2 is the field going to work its way down the back straightaway. L.J. Lombardo now working to the inside of Jimmy Cottrell for position as he would look to go underneath Bodie Bellinger. Stuart Friesen working it up on the top side as he's 3 wide with Neil Stratton and Keith Flack. He'd go around Ricky Davis as well as he was working his way up towards the front as the caution will come out for the 37 of Justin Barber. Off of the restart, the 111 going to take control of this one once again as Jesse Mueller and the 17 of Elmo Reckner come together down the front straightaway. C.G. Morey pushes up the racetrack a little as well, and Stuart Friesen gets knocked off the banking as he would look to battle back to get by the 36 of Brian Whittemore through turn number 3 and 4. Friesen would get him back off at turn number 2 now and set his sights on Bodie Bellinger for position in some close quarter racing like it is each and every Friday night at Albany, Saratoga, as now Elmo Reckner and C.G. Morey go at it. Here's Jesse Mueller working it to the inside, but Stuart Friesen even faster as he'd slide into the number 3 spot with Brett Hearn and Mark Johnson looking to follow him up through the field just outside the top 5 this time through turn number 3 and 4. Trellis would hold on to the race lead. Here's Stuart Friesen looking for the number 2 spot on Elmo Reckner. He would take that away, and it wouldn't be long till the Canadian sensation would take the race lead up into turn number 1 and 2. Trellis, the young gun out of Queensberry, still going to battle back a little bit harder on the inside lane. But now as we move towards the back half of the top 5, Brett Hearn and Keith Flack fighting for spot number 3, and Mark Johnson now up into the top 5 as he was looking to joust the rest of the field to try to get back to the front. Meanwhile, Keith Flack working on Brett Hearn for the number 3 spot, but Hearn slide jobs him up into the corner. Then it would be Hearn working on the outside of Demetrius Trellis off at turn number 3 and 4, looking for the runner-up spot. He would get just enough to take that away, and now he would set his sights on Stuart Friesen once again. Car on the move now, the 2RJ of Ronnie Johnson, as he would work up on the top side. He'd get by Mark Johnson, then get by Keith Flack. Go to work on the 111 of Demetrius Trellis as well off at turn number 4 as he was rocking it up off of the top side. He would get into third, but you weren't catching Stuart Friesen as there's just something about that number 44 as he goes to victory lane once again. Hearn would finish in second, Ronnie Johnson would be third, Demetrius Trellis fourth, and the White Knight Mark Johnson would round out the top 5 as he would hold on to the point lead by 3 points going into next Friday. Jack Spieshak, War Eagle, grabbing his first career win in the Sportsman Division. Pro Stocks, as you saw, going to Dave DiPaolo, and Rowdy Birch picking up the win in the Street Stocks. When we come back on RPW, we'll hand out our NISCA Performer of the Week award, and we'll sit down with a veteran modified campaigner who's rejuvenated for 2016.
Out here, seconds mean everything. That's why, in here, we work so hard to shave them. When a second matters, science matters. Mobil 1, energy lives here.
Where is it that going green is going strong? Where trees are planted so emissions can be cut down. Where clean ethanol blend fuels race cars and waste oil never goes to waste. Where is it that the sun comes up and we put it to work, and the passionate fans are just as passionate about helping out? Where? Nowhere but NASCAR. Learn what small steps you can take to make a big difference at NASCAR.com/green.
If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Sportsman action first. Brian Calabrese picking up his first career win at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park in the 21C machine. He was one happy character after it was all said and done. Now to the modifieds, 50 laps. Held over from the 4th of July weekend as up into turn number 1 and 2. You'd see the 20 of Craig Hansen out there with the early race lead in this one, as he would look to pull away from the rest of the field. Bobby Varon and Jeremy Wilder going at it down the back straightaway as that 00 machine working it through the corner, as now the battle for second was on as Jeff Rockefeller looking to get by the 53 of Bobby Vetter for position down the back straightaway, as Rockefeller still trying to work to the inside, as Vetter holding on. Varon and Pangman on their way right behind him as they make their way through turn number 3 and 4. Bobby Varon goes around. Sean Pangman nowhere to go. Jeremy Wilder right there as well, as that would bring Yellow out onto the speedway. Off the restart, Hansen would retake control of this one as the 816 of Jeff Rockefeller would continue to sit in second. Bobby Vetter right there for third until the 6H of Josh Hohenforce gets by him. Now here's Jimmy Becker working on the inside of him as Vetter trying to hold on to the number 4 spot that time. Meanwhile, Craig Hansen was on a rail in this event. Still 15 laps to go in this feature, and he's catching the back of the field as Johnny Lutz and Jeremy Wilder right there. Battle for the number 2 spot between Rockefeller and Josh Hohenforce for position. Hohenforce gets right into the back deck. I don't think he could be closer to the back bumper as he tried to slide underneath Rockefeller for position. He would take that spot away, and yellow will come out for the 816 of Rockefeller as he had too much damage on the machine. And off of the next restart, Craig Hansen going to go back out in front of this one with Hohenforce right there trying to take control. Wilder now bearing down on him on the inside lane. Hansen would break away from the rest of the field off of the restart way out in front of this one as he was hold on to win the 50-lap feature event at Glen Ridge. Josh Hohenforce would finish in second, Jeremy Wilder third, Jeff Rockefeller fourth, and Bobby Vetter fifth. Winner in the Sportsman was Brian Calabrese, as you saw. Pro Stocks would go to John Rose. Cruiser number 1 will go to PJ Blue. Cruiser number 2 to Chris Andrew. And the POWRI Midgets will go to Lou Torres. The Hondo Classic at the Fonda Speedway, always one of the premier events for the Pro Stock division, as here's how the field would come to the green flag with Tommy Denton and the Wild Twing, Frank Twing, up at the front of the field in this one. As they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2, it would be Tommy Denton with the race lead, but Frank Twing going to get him off at turn number 4, as he would be your new race leader as they bring him down the front straightaway. Nick Stone working it to the inside of Pete Broderson as he would work his way down, also trying to get by Jason Casey, as Tommy Denton right there along with cousin Luke Horning trying to make things tough for the 317 up top as they work their way down the back straightaway. Cousin Luke now going to muscle his way past the 94 of Denton for the number 2 spot up at turn number 4 and look to set his sights on the 317 as caution will come out on the speedway, which would bunch the field back up. Twing would take control again off the drop of the green as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2. Now Denton going to move back into the number 2 spot. Still going to leave the door open. His cousin Luke going to move to the inside lane off at turn number 2. This time he's going to push up on the outside of Tommy Denton, work on the back bumper of Twing, trying to get by him for the race lead as Domblewski and Stone look to follow behind him. Now look at Horning on the inside lane with a burst of speed. He'd be your new race leader as he'd slide back in front of Frank Twing for position. Cars continuing to work their way up through the field as Kenny Gates on the inside lane. Back to the battle up front, though, as Pete Broderson going to make his presence known. He would go around the outside of Frank Twing looking for the number 3 spot off of the corner. He grabbed that away as Nick Stone would start to mount his challenge towards the front of the field as he go around the outside of Tommy Denton for position. Down through turn number 1 and 2 they would go as the 2H of Horning continued to lead, but here comes Nick Stone, going to go by Broderson on the outside lane and set his sights on the 2H of Horning as he would go to the front of the field here in this one, looking for the lead, but Horning going to battle back a little bit on the inside lane as well as the 27 of Nick Stone looks to carry it past the Cow Palace with the race lead. The 2H of Horning back to the inside, but Stone just too strong that time off the outside of turn number 4 as he would continue to be your race leader as this would continue. Horning going to nose back out in front. Stone comes back on the outside. That time Horning loses it a little bit and loses a lot of ground to your race leader. Dan Older trying to fight his way up through the field as he's in there along with the Melonville Missile, Robbie Speed, as caution will come out for a couple cars. Randy Cosselman involved in turn number 3 and 4 as that brings out the yellow once again, and off of the restart, Nick Stone going to take control again at the front. Here's Horning going back to work on the inside lane. Pete Broderson and Kenny Gates right there behind him. Horning going to try to make it stick up off at turn number 4, but Nick Stone still just too strong on the outside lane. Horning noses out ahead going up into turn number 1 and 2, looking to make it stick. Here's Kenny Gates to the inside, but now Horning switches lanes, tries to get by Stone. Stone will keep the lead, and now Gates going to slide up in front of the 2H machine for second. As they come to the checkered flag, Nick Stone grabs the win. Broderson comes home with second place. Kenny Gates would finish in third, Tommy Denton fourth, and cousin Luke Horning would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Rocky Warner would grab the win in the Sportsman, Dave Manchester would grab the win in the Rookie Sportsman, and the Street Stocks would go to Josh Coonrad. This season, Matt DiLorenzo is back concentrating on racing after his voyage as the Fonda Speedway promoter. Our own Fast Eddie caught up with Matty D on how the season has gone so far.
Matty, how would you describe your season so far in 2016?
Well, I can tell you it's a lot better than it was the last couple years. Got my brother back helping me full time, and we've been running consistent. I'm still I haven't been running as much as I have been in the past from running Fonda Speedway, but we're getting better, and we got a win a couple weeks ago here at Albany Saratoga, so that kind of boosted the morale of everybody. So things are looking good. It's a lot of tough competition here.
Taking a step back to 2015, you were the promoter at the Fonda Speedway. You decided to abandon that effort. What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, big thing was money was number one, and then number two is family. I wasn't around my family a lot. I got two little girls that are 6 and 8 now, and I was never home seeing them. I was working 80 hours a week, and got everybody yelling and screaming at you, and I was trying to race, and that's what it really came down to, and it's a tough deal, and we tried to make things a lot better there, and I think we did, and I still get a lot of compliments to this day, of how well things went. Of course, we had some of our bad moments, but I think the good outweighed the bad. But I'm happy to be back at BBL and doing the project manager thing, and trying to race a little bit more and spend a lot of time with the girls.
Taking a look back, you said you had that win earlier here in the season. How important was it to get back in the winner's circle?
It was huge. I think it's been like 3 years since I won here, and it was cool to see all the crowd, everybody, standing up and cheering, that I won, and having the kids here, and my wife and the whole family. It's pretty much a family deal doing this thing, and it was great to have everybody here.
I see you've been traveling all around on Saturday nights. What's the decision behind where you go on a Saturday?
Well, we've been doing the Brett Deo North Series races. That was Brian and my brother's idea. So we've been running actually pretty decent. A lot of these tracks I've never been to, and it's a struggle going to these midweek shows. We don't get back till 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm not a full-time racer. I got to get up in the morning, go to work. But I think it's helping me, on my regular Friday night racing here, going to other tracks and just getting a little bit more seat time. And to be honest with you, you go to a lot of these other places and you don't realize how good we have it here at Albany Saratoga. It's a real clean facility. It's very easy to get to, and I think I'm real fortunate because it's it's the closest track to my house.
Who do you have to thank for getting you on track this year?
Well, I got to thank Kevin. We call him Joe Gibbs. He's part owner of BBL and the whole BBL family and Recovery Sports Grill. T.O. Pro Car. I've been heading T.O. Car since I think like 2002. And Kevin Enders, I've been with him since they started racing. He built such good stout motors. And ShopRite Supermarkets, Parker Hammond, MMC Millwork, Architectural Glass and Metal, Flint Mechanical, MCD Metals, and my whole family that's behind me, and I got a lot of great sponsors and to help me get to the races every week.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week award, and with his first career win at the D-shaped Dirt Demon, it goes to Ryan Bartlett. Bartlett is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.